for tuning in. My name's Keisha. I'm the founder of Upgraded Mindsets and the host of the Empowering Real Talk podcast. Since you are tuning in, let me tell you, expect unfiltered dialogues on relevant topics designed to help unlock effective personal, professional, and entrepreneurial growth. The Empowering Real Talk podcast will encourage you to implement any necessary steps to activate and achieve greater success on any and every level. Listen, in order for us to grow individually and as a whole, these conversations are necessary. I appreciate your support. Let's get it. What up, y'all? Welcome back to Empowering Real Talk. It is your girl, Keisha, and I am back with another informative, dope session. Listen, if you have not subscribed to the Empowering Real Talk podcast, but also to the Upgraded Mindsets channel here on YouTube, then make sure you take the time right now to click that button, okay? So if you are watching me on YouTube, then you see that I'm not here by myself, and I'm going to allow my guest the honor of introducing herself. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sheri. I practice something called functional wellness, which is a unique blend of functional, integrative, and naturopathic medicine. My business is called Root Cause to Wellness because I believe that when you understand the reason that symptoms exist and address them directly, you can sidestep all of the dangers of suppressing them, which is what we're so used to doing in our society.
You better talk about it. And I am super excited to have you here today because this is something that we need to talk about. As we record this, it is actually Stress Awareness Month. And I am super excited to kind of dig into that because, as you know, we deal with stress all day, every day. And there are ways that we don't have to. So I'm super excited to kind of get into that with you. So I'm glad to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
No
Excited.
problem. All right, let's get rolling. So first off, kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory, and actually what got you into doing what you're doing here with functional wellness.
Sure, absolutely. So I always knew that I wanted to go into something medicine related, but I didn't want to be a doctor because who wants to be on call and go to school for a zillion years?
That part.
Which is right. But like here I am in my 40s going to school nonstop because it's always something to learn. But anyway, so I actually wanted to be a physical therapist. And there were all these things that happened with accreditation. And so I found pathology and became an anatomic pathologist assistant, which I thought would be challenging. And it turns out it is very complicated, it is very important. It is very gross. We work in a place called the gross room for a reason. But I wasn't helping people. And so I found essential oils to help my husband because he had permanent nerve damage from an antibiotic. And he didn't, right, like really bad. Like, guys, if someone gives you Cipro or any fluoroquinolone, please look into it and ask for alternatives and make sure like your life is like in danger if you don't take very, very bad.
Y'all heard that. Okay.
Yeah, be very careful with fluoroquinolones. And my daughter had a lot of anxiety. So he didn't trust the medical system. I didn't want to take my 3-year-old to be medicated. And so we started using essential oils. It was great. And I wanted to go further. So I'm a cancer survivor. I had lymphoma when I was 29. And I wanted to learn how to take care of myself. As most women, when we go to the doctor, we're told everything's fine. Right. We go in and I'm like, my vitality sucks. I'm not sleeping. I feel terrible. And they diagnose you with anxiety or depression. I'm like, I have sadness because I'm not sleeping and I feel terrible.
Come on.
Right. Like it's not primary. Help me, I'm not losing weight. Foods are starting to bother me. And I got blown off year after year after year. Every year I gained more weight. Every year I was told to eat less and lose weight. And I'm like, hi, guys.
Right.
I'm here for help. So I found out about functional medicine. We focus on gut health and how that can help balance hormones. And I'm going to be real with you.
Please.
Amazing. I'm 46. I feel amazing, better than I have in the last 20 years. I've not dropped an ounce and I don't care because I feel amazing, like clear brain, good sleep, so much energy. Sometimes it doesn't matter like what you weigh as long as you feel great.
Right. That is facts though. And I don't think they talk about that enough. Like, and I love that you said that Because as a girl that has been, obese all her life, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the first thing that they go to. Oh, well, you need to drop some weight. You need to do this. But how? Like, what? There's more than just one particular way. And I really am starting to see just more and more that everybody's getting the same diagnosis, the same prescription, and the same treatment option. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a struggle for me.
Yeah, it's real. And there's no like, I hate to break it to you, there's no one diet for everybody. Like, I know the vegans feel their diet's the best, the keto people feel their diet's the best, paleo, all that. There's no one ideal diet. There is no one ideal way to get to your best level of health. So like everything we do is customized, because it has to be, because you're unique, right? What you've gone through is not what I've gone through. So
That
your
part.
journey, right?
Oh my God, that's so true. Like because I'm also a cancer survivor as well. I'm a cervical cancer survivor. So like, one thing that they told me during my treatments, because I ended up doing like radiation and chemo. The original plan was 9 weeks of radiation and 6 weeks of chemo. Well, I ended up only doing 8 weeks of radiation and 5 weeks of chemo because they were like, oh, your body's reacting very positively because you are being positive about it. Now, I have my moments, but overall, I was very optimistic about, beating it. So my mindset was at that point. And they were like, yeah, you're so positive. You come in here laughing and smiling, and that really is an effect. And I'm like, really? Like, just my mental well-being at that time of being positive really had an effect on my treatment, because it's all about the mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going through it, but I was in positive spirits, even through the sickness, the sleepiness, all of that extra stuff, but I still was in positive spirits. And because of that, I was able to stop treatment early.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can think ourselves sick. Like, we know this, right? Start
Yeah.
like right now thinking about something and you can make yourself physically feel sick.
Mhm.
So why can't you think yourself well? Like, obviously, other things have to be in place.
Absolutely.
But if you can have that kind of impact, like, why can't we never go to the positive?
Yeah.
Like, you can make yourself feel better and make everything work a little bit better by not being so downtrodden. And it's a challenge. Like, I'm not going to say it's easy to wake up every
Right.
morning and have a positive mindset. But it
Ooh,
can
I'm
be
telling you.
done, right? It can be done and it's worth doing,
Right. It really just involves, like, being intentional in wanting to have a positive day, because I tell people all the time, because I work with mindset every day. And like, I explain to people, I'm never telling you that I don't have negative thoughts. I'm not telling you that I don't experience times where I want to just say everything, right? I'm
Right.
not saying that,
Right.
but I have strategies in place to help me with that. So I think that that's where people get it twisted at, right? And I actually wanted to ask you, because this is something that I kind of learned, like doing like my own self research and stuff. Like, there's such thing as like good stress and bad stress.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So there's a couple things that get automatically make sense, right? Working out, being physically active is actually very stressful to the body, right?
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan of running, like nothing against people who like to run and jog.
Right.
But we live in such a stressful life that it harkens us back to our ancestors running from a wild animal, right? Which is very stressful. So, if you're going to run, you should definitely do yoga and relaxation things on the back end. But we know that that is stressful. But lifting weights, your muscles hurt the next day. You stressed your muscles,
Ooh,
right?
yeah,
Your heart
Lord.
rate. I know. I just did deadlifts a couple days ago again. I'm like, oh, I love it. On it.
I know. I'm like, ooh, Lord, I'm getting back to that ritual, and I'm telling you what. Whew,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right. So exercise is kind of like the big, this is stressful, but it's very good for the body.
Okay.
What people don't understand is when we eat foods that are antioxidants, they are often stressing the body a little bit. And that stress on the body is telling the body to respond better. And so they are antioxidants because you get a hyper response.
Okay.
And so they are healthy, but there's that little bit of irritation that causes them to be healthier. So yeah, good stress. Like, if you never experience stress, you wouldn't experience like the opposite. So it's kind of that
Right.
like, if everything was always positive, there would be never be negative. If everyone was good, there wouldn't be bad. Like, you got to have both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, and I'm glad that you broke that down, because no one would associate exercising as a stressful thing, right? Because
Right?
it's exercise. So we automatically say, oh, it's a good thing, but to associate the word stress with that, it's like, no, that's not stressful because I'm doing something better for my body. But I love that you actually said it is stressful on the body, just not always in a bad way. Now, if you're overexerting, because I know you've probably seen where people are just doing way too much, and there is a such thing as like over exercising, right?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I always look for, and again, I'm not picking on people that run,
Right.
but I have clients that are like avid joggers, avid runners.
Mhm.
And my question is always, and they feel great after doing it because you get the endorphins. But my question is always, but could you walk for a mile, or can you only run? And so when you are stressed for a really long time, you lose your ability to have a gentle response to stress. And so it takes something like running to bump you to that next level, that level that would allow mom to pick a car up off their kid. And if you're at that level where like, no, I can't walk, I can't do like gentle yoga, but man, I could go for, a 5 mile run. That's an area where you've done a little bit too much. And if you don't let your body rest on the back end as well, there's always too much of a good thing, too much water, too many veggies, like you can push yourself too far. It's about moderation.
Okay, okay. I like that explanation, because that it makes sense. Is it more so like the adrenaline is just too pumped and you're just like, oh my God, I gotta do this. Like, is it a mindset thing as well? Like, is it something that your mind is telling you you have to do this specific thing, or you're not gonna be successful? You know what I'm saying? I know that mindset has everything to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to, like, I know that you said a little bit earlier as far as like the anxiety and the PTSD and stuff like that. So from your perspective, like, how do we approach like mental health conditions like anxiety and depression? And like, how does our mind play into like being treated for that from your perspective?
Right, right. So, full disclaimer, I'm not a therapist. I don't have that
Sure.
background. So I do sometimes, and often recommend that my clients have like that professional to help them.
Absolutely.
But also a lot of us kind of want to DIY it. Maybe we don't have someone that we trust that we can
Right.
go to. So, most of the serotonin, which is a happy hormone that we make, is actually made in the gut. Like, yes, it has an impact on the brain, but it's made in the gut by our gut bacteria. Dopamine is the same way. A lot of it is actually made in the gut. So functional wellness, functional medicine always focuses on gut health first. And once you start to address that, and stress plays a huge role in this, because when you are stressed, when your ancestors were running from that bear, they were not sitting down to eat a big meal. They were not sleeping. They were not being intimate or having good hormones because they were running from a bear,
Come on.
right? But we run from that bear like 24/7 in our society. And so part of it is having that understanding what's going on and leaning into things that you would not do if you were running from that bear. So I mean that is why I like, walking. You're not going to walk from the bear, right? You're
Right.
not going to do yoga. You're not going to close your eyes and do mindful breathing or visualizations, and you have to have that flip. And so when you start to do these mindfulness practices, and note that I'm not saying meditation because I can't meditate. I've got a bouncy brain. I don't have a diagnosis. We all know if
Right.
you've got a bingo brain, you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that, my brain is playing bingo balls,
Woo, I'm telling you.
right? So meditation is not for everybody, but mindfulness and paying attention to your breathing.
Yeah.
And so you have to take those first steps so that we can take the next steps to deal with bacterial overgrowths in the gut, so that the gut can start producing the serotonin. And you have to not feel stressed, because when you are stressed, your body actually locks up those hormones. So, like, maybe you have enough that we wouldn't have the feelings of depression and anxiety, but it's almost like they're in a physiological jail and you don't get the effects of them because your body thinks you're not going to live through the day because that bears on your heels. So that's why mindfulness and mindful breathing work so well, because you've got to tell your body you're going to live through the day.
Absolutely. Oh my God. That's so like deep because although I have gotten better with meditation, but I consider myself a pro when it comes to mindfulness and breathing. I am big on like box breathing, right? I'm big on like the 4-7-8 techniques. I love to do those breathing exercises because I just realize how it actually just alleviates the tension in my body. I've been to chiropractors and stuff like that, but I know that
Do
my
this.
posture is not the best. Okay.
Yeah.
But like just being mindful, like I can feel the difference after a 2 or 3 minute mindful breathing session for myself. I feel the difference. My shoulders are down. I'm being more mindful of how I'm sitting, and just those type of things, like overall with the body. So I think it just really boils down to, like you said, what works best for you, but you have to figure out what that is.
Yep.
Everything is not system standard for everybody. Everything is different. We are individuals. I love that you said that because we are. I say that so much. People be like, oh, well, such and such did this, but that's not you. Like you're gonna have to do something totally different. What worked for them, they might be able to meditate for an hour flat with no problem. But if you can't, are you just gonna not do anything because you can't do what you see somebody else doing?
Right. And I
Yeah.
love that you pointed out 2 or 3 minutes of mindful breathing. Because let's be real too, we're busy. Like
Mhm.
everyone listening to this, I doubt you're just sitting there listening. You're probably doing something else,
Something else. Come on.
right? Even if it's on YouTube and you're watching us, you are
Yeah,
still doing something else. You're probably not just staring and watching because no one has time for that.
absolutely.
But you have a time in your day where you can set a reminder on your phone because I don't know how we did on our phones. Set a reminder and then set a timer. And all you have to do is mindful breathe for start with a minute, start
Yeah.
with 30 seconds,
Yeah.
right? And bring up what you can. I don't like box breathing. I feel like as I'm waiting to breathe back in again, I'm suffocating. So if you like box breathing, do it. But if you try to, and what we're talking about is breathing in for a count of say
Yeah.
4,
Yeah. For
holding for a count of 4, breathing out for a count of 4, and then holding. So you're making equal, right?
yeah.
What I do is I envision a wave, and the wave comes in as I breathe in, and then the waves pause on the shore for a second. So I just pause. And then the waves always take a little bit longer to go back out. So I always breathe out a little bit more.
Okay.
So for me, those big pauses after all these years, I cheat. I can't do it. I cause it. So I found something else that works. I do like the 4-6-8 or like, where it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, find something that works for you. That's just
Absolutely.
count your breaths,
That's it.
whatever it is.
Yeah, it can be so simple. Well, I think we like to complicate things. I think a lot of people like complication because that's the societal expectation is things are supposed to be complicated. Now, I'm not saying things are easy, especially when you're like unlearning, right? One thing, especially when it comes to mindset, you have to like unlearn the things that you might have been raised on, the habits and the value systems that grew up on. There's nothing wrong with that, but you owe it to yourself to make sure that that's what's aligned with you, because sometimes when we're living in outdated methods, that can cause us stress anyway because we're stressed out about why is things not going right with me, and it's because you are living an outdated lifestyle for you.
Yes, yes. And that comes out too, like with parenting,
Yeah.
right? The way I
Yes.
parent is not how my parents parented or before me,
Absolutely, Sheri.
right? You've got to think into what works for you, what feels for you. And then foods. Like I think about what I ate growing up and then, what I eat now. And I'm like, wow, that no wonder I had cancer at 29. Like the food that I ate, I get it, man. But I had to unlearn that.
Yeah.
And then it's still something where, treats and comforting with food, like that's not healthy.
Yeah.
At the same time, a salad is not as comforting as a piece of bread. So you
Man.
have to like shift that mindset as
Right.
to why is that comforting to you and why are you leaning into that as your comfort as opposed to nutrition? There's so many things we have to unlearn. Like
And
it's just but baby steps. It's just baby
yeah.
steps.
And that's what I think I want us to understand. Like, it's a gradual thing because it's a continual thing. You don't have to say, oh, I automatically am going to make this happen. just working with women and in just their general areas, like working with them with their personal clarity, or working with them to, start the business side of things for themselves. Like they want to do so much so fast. And it's like, no, it is gradual. Let's work on this first. As someone that has gone through that, and someone, you as well, we are speaking not only from, a professional standpoint, but also a personal experience.
Exactly.
And I just want people to understand that, like, we are here to help, but you have to be willing and ready to help yourself first. You have to take that initiative. I can't do the work more than you.
Oh yeah. That's the hardest thing too, right? Like you want it more than your clients.
Yes.
And when you get into that, like, I want this so bad for you and you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And it's not benefiting you if we're going to go for like walk up a hill maybe, and I'm, trekking as fast as I can and you're still back, trying to get your shoes tied. Like they got to go together with them. But it's hard because we do want so much. But also like New Year's resolutions fail for a reason. People just jump in like, I'm going to eat a salad, or I'm going to, which is a great thing to want to do.
Absolutely.
But if you've been eating through a drive-through window,
for the past 7 months.
Right. And then you're like, no, I'm never going to do that again. The first time you do it, you feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And so those little baby steps, like that's how you win that race.
Yeah.
So I just want to like, seriously, I've got a client that I'm so proud of. And I think she is the epitome of what you're talking about. She has baby stepped her way into eating a new vegetable every week.
Oh, that's
which dope. Is huge, right? Could you imagine if we started and I'm like, look, this week I want you to pick 3 new vegetables and cook them 3 new ways and eat a new vegetable every day or something like that. Like that is overwhelming.
Yeah, that is dope, because honestly, that's really where I'm at right now. I've practiced like the intermittent fasting. And I did that. I started it like 3 years ago and it was so successful for me, right? I lost so much weight. And life and things changed and I kind of got off track. But I know that works for me, but I also have to be mindful of where I am like in business, because 3 years ago I was really just starting with upgrading mindsets, and now I'm in a totally different space, claiming success, of course, but then also understanding that my lifestyle, my schedule, everything is totally different. But I know that that's a go-to for me. But also I did 8 days where I did not eat meat at all, right? And I was super proud of myself. So it was like that 9th day I ate it. But what I love that you said that, because I did not feel bad because I ate the meat, right? I knew that I can do it. And I wasn't beating myself up like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I wanted meat that day and I just wanted it. So I didn't feel bad about that. But that took some training of my mind, because 2 years ago, if I'd have did that, I'd have been like, oh my God, I gotta start all over. No, I just reset, but understanding that I am also going to be mindful and incorporating those habits for myself more often. Going on streaks of no meat, going on streaks of, fasting for 20 hours instead of 16, just those type of things. But again, what is working best for me?
Right. And that could change. Like in 5 years, it could be, if I don't eat meat every day, I'm exhausted. And if I fast, it's terrible. So fasting, you asked examples of good and bad stress.
Yeah.
Fasting is a beautiful example of maybe it's good stress for you, or maybe it throws you up the deep end. Right. And maybe 16 hours is great, but 18 hours is too much. Or maybe you can only get like that 8-hour fast overnight, which you don't even do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a good stress, bad stress. It can be very stressful on the body, but in a good way, or it can be very stressful on the body in a bad way.
In a bad way. So you guess it's supposed to show like taking the deeper step to find out how that works for you, how you're feeling, and paying attention to your body, as well, and also your mental.
Yes. Yeah. Because only I don't know. I don't know if you can fast. I have no idea. Right. But but you have to know what to look for to see if you can.
Absolutely.
And have some, some grace and say, not for me right now.
Yeah.
Right. So especially like cycling women, during certain parts of your cycle, you can fast. And during the other part of your cycle, it could be really hard on you. During certain parts of your cycle, you can lift weights like a beast.
Yeah.
Other parts of your cycle, you're like, oof, everything's so heavy. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I definitely, when I speak, I also always speak from personal experience, especially when it comes from, a medical standpoint. I never want no one to do exactly what I do,
Right.
definitely go get help, and like I said, so tell us a little bit more, like what you do, like just like something that I know you talked about with the client in particular, but as we kind of finish out here, I kind of want you to tell a little bit more about like what your practice entails.
Sure. So, functional wellness is not taking over like what your doctor does, right? So we're in a different space, and so I work with people privately, as well as in a group setting. And it's not that one is better than the other; it's that what is best for the person.
Absolutely.
Like ideally, everyone would start private, and we'd really get a look at what's going on with you, and then you gradually graduate into a group. But people start where they are. So my private clients, we meet to make sure that we're a good fit, right? Because I practice totally different.
Absolutely.
I'm not right. I'm not telling you these are the supplements and these are the things that you have to do. I'm asking, we're having that conversation.
Yes.
So it's very much a partnership. And I love analogies. My favorite analogy is that you're driving a car to your healthy destination. You're not in your healing space right now if you're coming to me, right? You're struggling,
That's facts.
right? So you're driving the car. And as a person driving the car, you're going as fast or slow as you need to. And you are, maybe taking detours. I'm kind of blindfolded in the back seat. I know where we have to go, but you're having to tell me what's up ahead so that I can tell you to take a right or a left. So it's very much a partnership.
Okay.
I look at labs completely differently than your doctor. So it's not my favorite thing. It is my biggest soapbox is when I get labs from a woman who feels terrible. And I'm sorry, but it's almost always women. Men seem to not have this as often.
Yeah.
We feel terrible. And the labs say everything looks fine. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, she's got, not enough iron in her body, clearly, and she's lacking all these vitamins. And what do you mean everything looks fine? Like the fact that she's getting out of bed every morning and putting one foot in front of the other, she deserves a freaking medal for this.
Yeah. Facts.
So it's so frustrating. But I look at labs different because I'm not looking for disease, right? I'm looking for imbalances. So we go through what you're eating and how it makes you feel. We talk about poop. Like if you don't want to talk about your poop with me, then you're not going to be the client.
Right.
Talk about it. It's very important. We talk about hydration. We look at stress and sleep. But it really comes down to stress, how that's impacting your digestion, and how we can undo the damage that's already been done. Because there's always some damage that's already been done if you've felt stress more than like a couple of days at a time.
Yeah.
And resume that to where you need to be. So my clients reach out to me. They know that I put my phone in do not disturb when I don't want to be disturbed, but they have the ability to reach out to me whenever they want to. And then when I have the opportunity, I address their questions because nothing's life or death, right? Because I'm not a doctor. We're not dealing with disease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great
Right.
boundaries. Great boundaries.
I try. Honestly, my clients send me a question and I want them to have the answer immediately.
I know. Me too. I'm like that too. So I get it.
Right. But it's a constant struggle. And it's really going hand in hand to find out because the healthiest diet may not be your healthiest diet. And a wonderful diet with bad digestion and absorption means that you're not getting the benefit of the foods that you eat. So we have to look at that, and we have to look at toxins, which are everywhere, and how can we minimize those toxins? What can we do to make them less because we can't avoid them? And then how can we encourage our body to process them better? So it's a little bit of everything, which is why I love it because it's super challenging. And
yeah, I was gonna say, I love that.
Yeah. I get messages like I pooped yesterday, and I'm like, yay! Like I know that was a problem.
Right.
I ate salad yesterday, and I celebrate with them. Or they're like, I ate a cheeseburger. I'm like, girl, it's okay.
It's okay.
Like, let's talk about it. Let's make it a healthier cheeseburger next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. That is great. And I appreciate you so much for like breaking so many things down. I loved your analogies, by the way. Like I love that so much.
I have so many analogies.
I love it. I love it. Well, let my audience and listeners know where they can find you at, Sheri.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best place, because I don't do a ton of social media unless you want memes. So if you love really dumb memes, then you can find me on Facebook with my name. There will be either memes, functional medicine, or my daughter's jiu-jitsu. That's like all that's there.
Hey, I love it.
But the best place to find me is at my website. So my business is Root Cause to Wellness. And when you go there, if you scroll down a little bit, you can opt in for a mindful breathing handout, a little workbook, which is great. I don't bombard you as soon as you hit the page because I want you to be able to read a little bit,
Right.
because you're there for a reason.
Absolutely.
And then if you click at the top, it says ways to work with me, and it'll come up a whole menu. So you can have a free 30-minute discovery call. Everyone who works with me privately has to do these calls because I want to make sure you know what you're getting into. Maybe you hate analogies, and I would be terrible for you. That's where most people start. Like I said, I've got group programs, I've got standalone programs. I work with people one-on-one. You can always find me on Instagram. My business is Root Cause to Wellness. Same thing with Facebook. Just don't expect to see a whole bunch there.
That's fine. Like I said, our website information will definitely be listed in the notes, guys. So you definitely be able to reach out with her. And I definitely recommend getting on her list, because again, especially if you're looking at, I don't want to say necessarily alternative, but more ways, because there are more than one way to get yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, all that fit. Okay. It's more ways. It's more than one way. Okay. So explore your options. All right. Sheri has been amazing. Thank you so much for let's real talk with your expertise. I know my listeners are going to get a kick out of this, baby. They are going to get a kick, and I appreciate you being here, guys. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have subscribed to the podcast. Wherever you're listening, click the button so you do not miss an episode because, baby, these conversations are necessary. So until next time, baby, I want y'all to stay dope, stay focused, stay empowered.